Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for being here today. This is Dr. Ariel Policano, a naturopathic doctor in Portland, Oregon, and I use the Genus Insight in my practice, and I've been teaching and training with bioresonance technology for 4 years now, and I'm so excited to be with you here today to talk with you about the Genus Insight app. The Genus Insight app is an exciting piece of biofeedback technology that you can use right on your iPad, iPhone, or Android device. It has the most thrilling technologies in the entire industry, and it has some of the most effective resonances and technology in the entire industry, even for devices that cost upward of $20,000 or $30,000. And a great example of this type of technology and the types of advances we get with the Genus Insight is well represented with the new addition, the new update called Functional Zone Considerations. So I am very, very excited to be with you. I am getting so much interest about the functional zones, and I believe that the functional zones is going to become a very important part of your genus that you go to often to find out deeper levels of information, but also to provide faster ways to balance yourself or your client or your family. So let's get started. Again, welcome everybody who's joining us here today. A couple of just pieces of business. Remember that for all of these recordings, you can just type in my name. So first name Ariel, last name is Policano into, oh, look at that, associated with the genus, I love it. So you can get my name in there and go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you will get all of these videos that have been creating about the genus. So if you miss a week or you're at a different time zone, you will get this fed to you in your subscriptions. And I do appreciate it. You can come and join us every week if you'd like to, as many weeks as you like to be here. And one more thing is I just published some information about the functional zones on my website. I have a blog on this website. Let me give you the website address here. It's quantum-ipad-biofeedback. It's done so people can find me and the genus online through search terms. So it's obviously a quantum biofeedback program that goes on your iPad, thus quantum-ipad-biofeedback.com. And I have a blog on that page that you can go to, and it tells you about the latest upgrades to the genus. Those of you who come to this regularly and anybody who's joined us, you are on my list, and I try to send these blog posts out along with the video every week. Sometimes I miss a week. So you can go to this article. I'm going to send you the link right now, and this tells you all about how to use the functional zones. And give me 1 minute here. We're going to actually talk about all of these right now. So if you go to the latest blog article, it says Functional Zones, Powerful Results with the Genus Insight. And you can read all about how do I use the functional zones. All right, what do you do? What do they mean? What are the different subcategories of the functional zones? And we're going to talk about all of that right now. So you can go to the blog, and of course you can join us every week. I'm going to tell you right now what this is all about. All right, the functional zones are a deeper level of investigation that you can find within the Progressive Insights panel. So basically, to go back a little bit here, what I did was I just scanned today's stress. The panel Today's Stress showing you, highlighting the issues that are occurring for you that are of the greatest priority today. Here the client is dealing with an infection, a nutritional deficiency or imbalance, food sensitivities most likely, some brain imbalance, and so forth. Now, just a general comment. when you see this all in red, I want you to relax. The numbers that are the most significant in red are the ones that are over 700. As you move down to 650 and 600, they're not as burning issues. So things like the top three really for this person are infection, nutritional, and sensitivities. We don't have to be so, stressed out that there are imbalances here, but we want to explain them and understand them on a spectrum. So the top three is really what you want to look at. This person's dealing with some nutritional issues, probably because they have food sensitivities. They probably have leaky gut and they have impaired ability to absorb their nutrition. And these sensitivities may be exacerbated by a chronic infection. So don't be surprised if the first few frequencies sort of tell the whole story. And this is the art of bioresonance, is starting to understand the story, the patterns, how things fit together. Then we go down here to the very lowest part of the spectrum, and we also have items to consider. So we always want to add if we're doing a balancing session, what I recommend is that we add everything from the red and everything from the blue. In the past, I've said sort of the top 10 and the bottom 10, and as things have sort of evolved, I realized that everything in red and everything in blue is probably the safest way to work here. So we would add the environmental and the lymphatic. Again, a notation about your blue numbers, they indicate more chronicity of an issue. They indicate hypofunction. They indicate depth, how deep the issue may be. Now, it's possible you may not want to make too much of a differentiation between your reds and your blues. They're both out of balance. So as they say, two sides of the same coin. Okay, I like the subtle differentiation of these lower numbers. They tell me that the lower numbers are very likely even more significant than your high numbers. That said, what I've already done is I've already put a lot of the items down here. Let's actually just clear them all out just because we're going to do this together. So let me grab as many as I can. And again, you're going to grab your reds, your blues. Should you grab anything that's yellow? Now, yellow could be considered to be an emerging issue. So it's sort of like a warning zone or something that's developing. So if you wanted to get very in-depth in your description or your understanding, you could look at things in the yellow zone. You could say that's interesting that fungus and kidneys and blood sugar, they're sort of like in baseball, they say, batter on deck. They're sort of on deck, they're in sort of a waiting area. So they may be relevant, they may not be relevant. They could potentially emerge as issues. So you could potentially, if you wanted to do a very in-depth balancing on someone, you're welcome to include these yellow items. It's totally up to you. Some people are overwhelmed by just the red and the blue, so there's no need to include them. We are definitely going to include our blue down here. Then we're going to go down to the main hold tray. We can see that all of the items have been added. We're going to tap here to close the main hold tray. We can also we can choose our time here, or because of the new updates, we could choose our timer inside the next screen as well. I'm now going to close this screen. I'm going to tap the play button, and that progresses us to the Progressive Insight page. So now we're talking about our functional zones. This is where the functional zones come into play. Now, as Ryan communicated to me, this is what his concept of this is, to do this at the end of a session when you've all the items in the main tray that you want. So when you've done all of your testing and you have all of the items in the main hold tray, then this is the appropriate time to do or to dive into the functional zones. I see it also as you could be honing a specific area. For example, we did the today's stress, and we could do functional zones just from that one panel. You could also do it from like emotions are really cool to as an entry point for your functional zones, because the emotions hold so much information. So run the emotions panel and then take everything from your emotions panel, highs and lows, into your progressive insights. Now we tap the begin analysis. So let me make a couple of comments about doing the begin analysis in your progressive insights. What it does is it prioritizes everything from high to low. It is a wonderful sort of second check in the world of bioresonance. We know in our first check, in our first run, we said, according to the energy field, yes, many of these things appear to be out of balance. But when we put them all together and we retest and we re-ask the question, now we're going a level deeper than the first superficial test. We're peeling an onion. So we ask the question again, what really is important? What really is priority here for the person to work on? And really interestingly enough, environmental, brain, liver, and immune system emerge. And, you know, that's really interesting too. You know, something in the environment, right, maybe affecting the brain, stressing out the liver, and causing a bit of, causing significant, probably, stress on the immune system. So again, it's becoming an artist with this, learning to tell the whole story, learning how things relate. And that just takes practice and some basic knowledge of natural medicine, which you can certainly get from many of my recorded classes. And so just email me, ariel@awakentotalhealth.com, and I can send you some information about those classes, and that will help to make you a better biofeedback practitioner. Now, once you're here, you're going to see a bar at the bottom that says Functional Zone Considerations. This is where the excitement starts. On the right side, you have the ability, if you were just going to balance and not do any functional zone considerations, you would simply either hit Select All here to select every frequency going down the list, or you could select just the high priority items. This is if we did not want to proceed right now with the functional zone considerations. We would just select what we wanted, we'd hit the play button, and we would balance for 6 minutes. But if you're ready to go to a deeper level and you want to explore and you want to learn more, you want to balance faster, you are ready to go to the functional zone considerations. Now, really interestingly, the way that the way that Ryan set this up is you could select one item, and this is going to really knock your socks off, or you could actually select all of them together. So you could choose environmental, brain, liver, and immune system. So we'll do it a couple of different ways, but really kind of thrilling to see the threads of how all four are related, and the causal chain behind all four together could really be something, you know, super exciting to take a look at. Okay, let's just, for the heck of it, let's go to brain. And so we check that. So the check marks on the left, it's got to get a little sip of water. The check marks on the left and the check marks on the right are different. This is when you're ready to balance. This is when you're ready to check the functional zones. Check the brain, and then we go down here to this black bar and we tap on the black bar. There's a lot that's going on right now. There's an amazing amount of homeopathic remedies that are being tested. There's all of that archetype encoded programming that's going to the deep levels of the subconscious, really breaking through on so many levels. Now, there are 7 zones, and they are specifically based on homeopathic principles, and many homeopathic remedies went into and are woven into these zones and into the next level that you will get going forward. So there's a lot of different potencies that have been programmed here, homeopathic potencies, and it's really, really interesting to see how it reflects back what's going on with you, and also how it helps you to balance. So we look at the top, we look at the bottom. Immune zone, psychogenic zone, biochemical zone, geophysical zone. So that means that there are origins in the immune system. Psychogenic is going to be the emotional, psychological issues that are going on. Biochemical is going to have to do with pH and nutrition, different minerals making up the biochemical. Geophysical, and I have this all laid out in that blog post. And Ryan gave me really great information on this. So you can go to that blog post. It's not cooperating here. Let's just go back to the main screen for a second. And in the blog post, it kind of goes into what is under. I still have to do some edits in here. But for example, the immune zone is going to give you a prediction that it's related to food allergy, just regular old immune stress, non-autoimmune allergy stress, autoimmune stress, immune stress, vaccine stress, and organ change stress. Now I haven't gotten further elucidation about all of these sub-zones, and I'm asking Ryan for them now. But they're made up of a set of homeopathic remedies in each instance related to these issues. So let me tell you what to do next, and of course you can read the blog post, and of course I'll answer your questions. So if you have questions about the zones, you're absolutely, jump right in and you can type them in, and certainly I'll come back around to them. What you do now is you do one of two things. You can either say, of the reds and the blues, what are the names here that call to me? What name seems interesting to me? Is it immune zone, psychogenic zone, biochemical zone, or geophysical zone? And without thinking too much, just see which one you're drawn to. You could also just go flat out for the lowest one. The lowest one is where the least amount of energy is moving. It's where there's the most stagnation. So, feel free to go all the way to the lowest one as well. And so let's actually just go with immune zone. Now, if we want to go with immune zone, the first thing that we're going to do, okay, and this is exactly the way that Ryan described it, is pull this down into the main hold tray. So we want that item to also be in the main hold tray. Then what we can do is tap on this item, and it's going to drill down the information even further at a deeper level. So now we go to immune zone, and takes a couple of seconds here, and now it's going to tell us about the area of adaptive capacity. So the influences on our adaptive capacity from the constant defensive actions in the body. So this means that, and I'm not sure exactly what organ change stress is, if there's an actual change in the functioning of the organ, but we'll certainly find out what that is. And food allergy, so the 87%, usually they're very, very high, so I think I would probably definitely balance the organ change stress. But what it's telling us is that somehow in relation to the immune system, and remember that the place that we came from was the brain. In fact, you might just want to keep some notes about where you started out from. And then we'll compare. We're going to do a little comparison testing here. Anyway, we're going to take organ change stress evaluation, put it in the main hold tray. And we're going to take the food stress evaluation and put it in the main hold tray as well. Again, we'll get you more information about some of the details of these different influences on the adaptive capacity, but the best thing to do right from the get-go is go ahead and balance these. So we've got 13 items down in the tray. And now what we're going to have to do is we go back to here, but we actually need to go one more step backwards. So we need to go back here, don't do anything else. We simply want to allow the test to reshuffle everything. So let's go here, and now we begin the analysis. And I think what's interesting is to see what emerges here as important. And now the lymphatics, so we may have even sort of peeled a layer just through our testing. The lymphatics, which is part of the immune system, comes up, and this could be the lymphatics of the brain. I mean, because brain is where we started. Lymphatic sensitivities, liver, brain, immune, nutritional, cardiovascular. Now, it's interesting that those organ changes come up as low, but that doesn't mean that they're not important. So what I would do here is I would select everything, and I would balance all of it. And so for 3 or 6 minutes, you can then play those tones. And I can crank that up a little bit there. So you can then balance those tones for what I would say is 3 minutes, 6 minutes, you know, you guys, that I like about 9 to 12 minutes of balancing. So again, if you have questions on this functional zone piece, go ahead and send them in. I may not know all of them, but I can certainly pass them on to Ryan, and we'll get more and more clarity as we move forward. But it is a thrilling and compelling part of the program, so it's just opened up sort of a whole new universe. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to take, I don't know if we can deselect these right now. Let's see if we can, let's do the top 4 so we can check all of these: lymphatic, sensitivities, liver, and brain. And now we can do all 4. So you can check as many as you want. It's interesting to see what the common theme for sort of the highest items would be. I'm just going to do 4 because I don't want to stretch it too much, but let's just do 4, and let's do the functional zone considerations. And again, so many remedies being tested against, some of the best in homeopathy, some of the most cutting-edge testing information based on the miasms and chronic infections, sort of the things that really keep people stuck. Are incorporated into this testing process. So it is just super exciting, and it's interesting that so many here are turning up red. We've got biochemical zone, geophysical zone, tissue regulation zone, interference zone, and immune zone. So all of these are related to the 4 that we tested previously, having to do with lymphatic, sensitivities, brain, and liver. Something that's definitely, probably, something that is very much likely to be related to food and environment, which is probably coming through in either the biochemical zone or the tissue regulation zone. That could be the immune zone too. So do you guys have a sense, out of all of these, when we're talking about testing for lymphatics, sensitivities, brain, and liver, which of these zones call to you? And just go ahead and type it into your chat box. Which is the zone that really calls to you, that you feel may sort of be tied up in all of these? Is it the biochemical zone, the geophysical zone, the tissue regulation zone, the interference zone, or the immune zone? What do you guys think? Because everyone sort of lit up except the microorganism zone. So what are some ideas that you guys have? Just go ahead and type it into the chat box, and let's see the ideas that you guys have. Some similar ideas, different ideas. Just go ahead and type one of these that calls to you, that you think might be really important when linking together lymphatic, sensitivities, that would be environmental or food sensitivities, liver, and brain. And we certainly know that these are all very much connected. All 4 of those could easily be connected to a food sensitivity or an environmental sensitivity. So we had some really great input here. Sandy says tissue regulation zone. Surya says biochemical zone. Vinayak says the immune zone. Suzanne says the immune zone. Ginger says I'll vote for the geophysical zone. Vinayak also says biochemical. Roger and Teresa say immune. It's interesting, most of you, immune zone is coming through big time. Janie, immune. Sandra, immune. Jordana, biochemical and immune, both call to her. Sharon says biochemical zone. And Joanne says tissue regulation. Wendy, immune zone. So really, really interesting. And Mary Lee coming in with immune. So you guys are all really feeling drawn as a sort of as a collective consciousness to that immune. But, you know, all of them are really related, tissue and biochemical. Certainly we can, you know, there is no wrong answer, of course. We'll always be brought back to a piece of information that will affect the entire system. And when you touch one part of the system and balance it, it ripples through the entire energy field. So thank you, you guys, for your very, very good input. It was sort of priority was immune zone. Second runner-up was really the tissue regulation. and the third one was the biochemical zone. So good job, you guys. I like it. Really good thinking there. Let's go now to immune zone, and remember the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put it into the main hold tray. I'm not sure it went in there though. Not convinced if let's check to see it's in there. Okay, fantastic. It may have been in there from last time. So now let's go ahead and we'll tap on immune zone, and again we're going to get 2 answers here. Remember, you can go to the blog post to find out more information and test yourself. It's going to be a really new universe getting this information and seeing how you balance. So you guys all were really focused on immune, which is a really interesting thing. And look at this, you guys. Vaccine stress evaluation. 100% chance that it's associated with the immune zone stress, which is then connected to lymphatic, which has to do with the immune system, sensitivities, which this person maybe was reacting to this vaccination for a lifetime. And what were the other 2? Brain and liver. Maybe their liver has been stressed out forever because of the vaccination stress. And vaccination stress, even though this is probably the chemicals in the vaccine, can also cause an interference field through that process of breaking the skin in the injection. But interestingly enough, there is also an interference zone that we didn't see come up for this person in this case. So we can pull down stress evaluation, and then 90% chance of autoimmune stress evaluation. So the vaccination itself could have caused enough pressure on the immune system to cause an autoimmune reaction, or something else, perhaps some type of a food sensitivity, perhaps something else. But certainly the relationship between these 2 items seems obvious. There may be some exchange going on here. So what a wonderful thing to be able to discover, right? Awareness is one of the wonderful effects of biofeedback, one of the wonderful benefits, and to be able to do something about it. And you might want to pursue it further beyond balancing. Maybe you want to take some thuya or some silica, sort of classic homeopathic remedies associated with vaccine reactions, but they're probably incorporated in here anyway because there's so many really great homeopathic blends and remedies in here. So then what we do have a couple of comments here. Makes sense that Vinayak says, makes sense that vaccination started the autoimmune stress from day 1 and based on the percentages. So he's looking at that 199% and coming to a really great conclusion sort of about chicken and egg, and that's really fantastic skills at putting the information together, and that's what it really distinguishes a really good practitioner. And you guys can all get good at this with practice. So we go back here, and now we're in the functional zones. We're going to go back again, and remember we want to go back one more time because we'd like to actually reprioritize everything. We're just sort of curious now what sort of comes up as the top priority. So interesting. So that autoimmune stress is way up there. Look at all of the immune stuff, you guys. You guys were spot on. And isn't it interesting? I think this sort of is also instructive. We're sort of getting in real life instruction in real time, telling us that a preponderance of issues probably are putting an immense amount of pressure on people, and perhaps many of the origin, the original sin, so to speak, was the vaccination. So a very, very fascinating way to sort of walk the information back, sort of look at it, find the origin, find the root cause. And these are absolutely the top 4 issues here, this organ change stress. We'll find out more about that, and I'll get back to you next week. The autoimmune stress, the immune stress, and the immune zone. Absolutely very, very interesting. And so it'll be really fun to actually take these 4, certainly, and balance this, for a good 6 minutes. So really, really fun stuff, you guys. I hope you get some balancing in on this and really get to enjoy this really, really great new function that's going to lead to a lot of really great results, but also I think a lot of new revelations for people about some of the core issues. So, just jump in there with additional questions that you may have about the information, and I'm certainly, happy to answer whatever questions that I can. And we'll move forward from there. So it'd be kind of interesting, just I'm sort of tempted to take these four and see if it just is more immune stuff. So let's see if anything, or maybe it'll be psychogenic stuff. So let's see if this has a core to it. There's a core behind this. And we'll go from there, and certainly jump in with your questions by all means. Thanks, you guys. We got a really great attendance today. Thanks for joining us. Really, really good to have you on board. And I think you guys get some credit for being here. So definitely check out Ryan's emails. You guys get some important raffle points to winning some great prizes too by being here, in addition to getting some information. So that's pretty funny. Out of all of this, right, we put those two together, and certainly it shows us the immune zone again. And the immune zone's all the way already in there. You could just sort of replace it because it's got a different score associated with it. And you can then drill that down again, and let's see if anything else comes up. Might be interesting to see if anything else comes up. So really, biofeedback too is about, really being sort of interested in what are the deeper layers? What's behind that, and what's behind that, and what's behind that? So we don't really have anything too new. We have immune stress evaluation. It doesn't say autoimmune. We might be clearing some stuff out. Again, I'm going to have to find out organ change stress evaluation. It might mean some type of perhaps deterioration of the organ. I'm not really sure. Of course, one thing that you can do here is you can go into the cross analysis. So one thing that's fun to do is you could go into the Bach flowers. I think the Bach flowers are interesting, for a couple of reasons, you guys. Let me talk about this, and we'll get your questions as well. What I like to do with the Bach flowers is I like to look them up, because they're often a little bit of a indirect way of sort of peeking into the person's emotional state. What are their blockages? What are the issues that are up for them? And let's just see if we can get a quick read on red chestnut, and then I'm going to show you a couple more things you can do here. It's funny that it's white chestnut and red chestnut, isn't it? So let's see what this is for people who fear the well-being of others. The husband afraid when his wife goes out alone after dark. The mother fretting over what may happen to her child at school. Red chestnut fears are natural, normal concerns magnified to the point where they have a negative effect on people who are the object of the concern. When we are in this state, the remedy helps to send out calm, unworried thoughts to our loved ones, so that instead of making everyone anxious, we are rocks for whom others can lean. And let's just see what white chestnut is, and then I'm going to tell you what I would do with this information. So one thing you could do if you're sort of in that last part of drilling down the information, you're like, but I want to know more, is I really suggest going to the Bach flower essences. We got a message from one of our French users that I thought was so interesting, and she said the Bach flower essences are one thing that you can use in the physical form for the duration of therapy that never wears the patient out. It never fatigues the person or has any type of negative impact. And she said for the whole course of therapy, when somebody's trying to heal, the Bach flowers are the ones that never have that sort of reaction effect or have sort of a chronic sort of depleting the person or causing them to become non-responsive to therapy. So it was an interesting insight that she had. Again, the Bach flower, or as they call them, the batch flower remedies. And let's see if we can just get a little bit of insight here, and we'll get to your comments as well. For those, white chestnut is for those who cannot prevent thoughts, ideas, and arguments which they do not desire from entering their minds, usually at such times when the interest of the moment is not strong enough to keep the mind full. Thoughts which worry and will remain, or if for a time thrown out, will return. They seem to circle round and round. The presence of such unpleasant thought drives out peace and interferes with the ability to think of only of work or pleasure during the day. It's interesting. So what you can do is you can take the red chestnut, and you can put it now down in the main hold tray. So my feeling is that the Bach flowers have a very powerful healing resonance and a very transformative resonance, and I feel that they're very good candidates to use with this new really expansive and powerful way of balancing. So I think you'll find that these really potentiate the work that you're doing with the functional zone. So you can take the top 3 and then the bottom 1, and you can certainly look those up and share that information with your client if you feel so inclined to. We can then go back, and if, say, we had balanced for a good 3 or 6 minutes, we could additionally drill down this information, and let's see if any of those Bach flowers emerged. So the white chestnut really was up there. Lymphatic and vaccine stress evaluation, they're right at the top. That's completely fascinating. Now, just because something is medium doesn't mean it's not important here. So I would have no qualms about balancing these 5 altogether and balancing those. So I think you're going to like this, you guys. I think you're just going to have a whole heck of a lot of fun with this. And we can do a couple of different things here. We can look at emotions. We could start with essential oils. We'll look at a couple different ways to do this. All right, a couple more questions in here. Let's see what you guys have to say. I would now drill into the vaccination category. Is there a vaccination category? Is there vaccination all under is it in the Entangled Insights? We'll have to go look at that. This is probably where the body was attacked at a very early age. I like it. It's good. What is the latest update number, Betty Lou? Good question. We're at 2.5. So thanks for asking. We're now at 2.5. Make sure you have the latest update. If you're not seeing this in your program, it means that you're not updated. So make sure you get a Wi-Fi connection and you do get the latest version. It's interesting to see how long it takes this entrenched immune issue to start to reduce. Mary Lee, that's a really great comment. I really love that. Yes, maybe you're going to need a good 8 minutes or something to really balance it. Check out the Australia flower essences. And Vinayak, I also like the orchid flower essences. I find those to be very dynamic as well. Okay, Mary Lee says, this is super cool. Mary Lee, I could not agree with you more. Big tip of the hat to Ryan for working on this, and also I know that his partner in crime or partner in fun, we could say, Garnett, has also contributed to a very great degree in this information. So Kelly's on the line, and Kelly, I wanted to see if we could just get a little snippet of some of the work that you're doing with biofeedback. And we'll come back to this in a few minutes. But Kelly, if you're able to talk, you might be in the middle of something, I know. Let's see if we can get you on the line. And I'd really like to hear about how you're working with biofeedback with families and the people around you. Kelly, if you're able to unmute yourself, maybe you're not. There you go. Hi, Kelly.
Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm on my phone, so last time we tried this, it didn't work.
You're doing great.
Oh, good. Yeah, just some miraculous results. I really can't believe what I have been able to do with this as a mom. So
yeah, tell us more about it. I mean, I think people will love hearing some of the stories that you've relayed to me about, and you're very clever with the program. But tell us about some of the results that you're getting.
Well, the 2 most recent ones are that are actually related. There's a virus going around. You've heard me talk about Dr. Harper here. My kids always seem to get it first. And so my son got it first. Dr. Harper was out of town, couldn't get him in, so we really managed through it for a week, and it was awful. I thought it was norovirus, scratchy throat, dizzy, lethargic, high fever, but very emotional. A lot of emotional components to it, like suffering and just very negative emotions associated with it. And I had to, I literally, he missed 4 or 5 days of school, and he would get better as soon as school was over, and then as soon as school would start, he would get sick again. And so I literally had to push him back into school. My daughter got it the next week, took her into Dr. Harper, and he said, "Oh, you're the third person that we've seen with this. There's a 1930s virus going around, and it carries with it the energy of the era." And he explained how the emotions and the virus go together. So then I talked to a friend who couldn't walk. She'd been to the doctor, had MRI, muscle relaxants, nothing was working. And when I offered to put her in the app, she didn't really say anything. Saw her a couple days later, same thing. Within 10 minutes, I was able to figure out that, and it sounded like a kidney infection. I said to her, did they do a urine test? No. So I thought it was going to be kidney when I opened it up. And her small intestine meridian was down, which I thought was interesting. And then as I dug further, it was the virus affecting her small intestine, which was then affecting the gallbladder meridian and literally shutting, I guess, the nerves down, her legs. She couldn't walk.
So Kelly,
So 10 minutes.
what were some of the, before you tell the punchline here, what were some of the ways that you utilized did you use customized panels, or did you use the biocompatibility feature, which is now called synergistics? What were some of the ways that you really put that information together?
You know, the way that I usually start things is I look at the meridians and the chakras and
Sure.
what is out. And I was really surprised that it was small intestine. I thought it was going to be kidney. And it puzzled me a little bit. So I thought, what am I going to look at? And so then I took the Carolyn Mine book, the Using Essential Oils or Erasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils. And I knew that small intestine was out, and she needed transformation on virus point, which is below. I think virus is below. Bacteria is above your belly button. Virus is below. So it's near the small intestine.
Sure, these are based on Carolyn Mine's work, MEIN, and
Yeah.
a lot of people in the Young Living community are familiar with her book. She's written a book about Young Living oils and emotions that incorporates a lot of Chinese medicine. You can get it online by sort of Googling Carolyn Mine, Young Living oil book, something to that effect, and it's a really fascinating book. Kelly, you're nice enough to have it sent to me, and it's been a really great resource.
Yeah, her work is brilliant because as a result of making the panel, I can tell exactly what is going on and nail it immediately. So all that I did was run the frequency of transformation on her small intestine, and then I think I did a gallbladder element also, and within 10 minutes, I was at my house. She was 2 blocks away. I couldn't physically go there because we had kids at my house. She'd never experienced anything like this before, but she called me and she said, "What in the world did you just do?" I just got up and walked away. She said, "I'm on the other line with my doctor. He's telling me he can't figure out what's wrong with me." And she goes, "Whatever you just did, it fixed it."
That is amazing. I mean, that's possibly a $300 office visit or something like that she was looking
Yeah,
at. And
exactly.
countless amounts of testing, inevitably, and so that's amazing. And the transformation she's talking about is the transformation, the Young Living oil remedy transformation.
Yeah, Carolyn has done an amazing job of mapping out. The oils are brilliant on their own, but when you get the right oil in the right place, they are unbelievable. And the Genius allows you to do that. It allows you to tap in to exactly what is needed where.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then similarly, I don't know if Lisa's on. I forwarded her your training, but a friend texted me from the doctor's office earlier in the week or last week. She said, "Kelly, my son has had a virus. He's been crying all week. I'm at the doctor. They're telling me nothing is wrong with him." And I was like, "Oh, he's probably got that 1930s virus." Tested it, ran some frequencies. It was taking the heart chakra down. And figured out what the heart chakra needed, and by the next day he was at flag football.
So
So,
what was the deal
um,
with the 1930s virus? Why is it recurring again?
you know, I don't know that, that would be a question for Dr. Harper.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he literally said, he said, okay, he goes, this is now a pattern. You guys are the third people that have been in here with this. It started with a college student, and then I can't remember the second person, but we were the third. And it seems to me that it's affecting kids more, from what I've seen, more than adults. Now, it was affecting this friend of mine. She didn't have physical symptoms of a virus. It
Mm-hmm.
was it was literally, her symptoms were she couldn't walk. So, um, so how unbelievable is that to be able to just open this up and put someone in it and get to that root so quickly?
It's incredible. And we did have a couple of questions for you. Mary Lee asked, can Kelly review again how she combined or coordinated the meridians with the Carolyn points?
Uh, um, well, I started off by looking at the meridians and what was out, and small int small intestine was the most acute. So, which, like I said, it really puzzled me because it sounded like a kidney issue. It sounded like it was the kidney meridian going down her leg. Um, but the more I looked at it, I was like, I wonder if it's gallbladder. So I tested in the biocompatibility gallbladder, and then I went back, and because I knew that small intestine was acute in the biocompatibility, what I find is sometimes you have to back through things a little bit.
Sure,
So
but
I
when you say
tested.
it was, what was your check on biocompatibility? Are you looking because are you looking for it as a problem? Is the question that you're asking, is it a problem? And if you get a lot of green, then you conclude, or a little bit of green, you conclude it is an issue?
It's usually, I'll usually say, um, if it's a meridian,
Mm-hmm.
small intestine meridian imbalance cause, in this case, I think I knew that there was a gallbladder issue and a small intestine issue. So I said small intestine meridian, small intestine meridian imbalance causing gallbladder meridian imbalance causing, and I can't remember how I worded it, but inability to, or I think the pain was in her shin. It was down below the knee, causing pain in the middle of the shin. And you can get that specific, and it told me that small intestine is where I needed to go, and that it was a virus. I think I also tested a few things, what was causing the small intestine to be out of balance.
So how would you state it here? Say it one more time, what you, even though we know we won't get the results, but sort of give me the sentence that you would program in here.
Small intestine imbalance. I
I'm just
usually
going
use the word imbalance,
to, mm-hmm.
um, causing, or did I say meridian? Small intestine meridian. It's a lot of words. Small intestine meridian imbalance causing gallbladder meridian imbalance causing pain in shin.
Okay, so you're
And I thought
real
it was,
specific.
yeah, I thought it was really odd that pain in her shin was causing her to not be able to walk, but whatever it was severe.
Sure, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And then we were looking for a positive response to the assertion that this is sort of like our hypothesis. So we're looking for an affirmation that the hypothesis is on the right track. And so in this case, we would be looking for, and we may not get it because this is not client, but we're looking for the circles to be more full. We're looking
Yep,
for the circles to be more
exactly.
complete. So, the equivalent of what Kelly got was very, very full circles to confirm her suspicion. This one wouldn't be really a yes here, but again, this isn't the client that we're working on. So from here, she was able to come up with other conclusions. So from there, you,
Yes. So
yeah,
then
go ahead.
I go into the Caroline Mine custom panel that I've made, and I'll go to whatever numbers are the lowest and the
Mm-hmm.
most compressed. And when
Mm-hmm.
I saw the transformation on the virus point, and knowing that this virus was going around, then a lot of times I will go back and check the biocompatibility and make sure that
Mm-hmm.
that is the solution.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you can get, those numbers can be small and it might not be the absolute answer. So I like to be exact. So, um, and every time I think, oh, it's not going to work this time, and it blows me away that every time I'm sure that there's a little bit of intuition in it too, of
Mm-hmm. No,
just
I'm sure. I'm sure
yeah.
you're very, very skillful about how you work. So, but that's great. Are
But
there some special? Are there some
I also
special?
want to
Yeah, go
on
ahead.
what you were saying about the Bach flowers. As you were,
Mm-hmm.
I did not know what you were talking about, but those Bach flower, they're very powerful. Um, my friend Anna, who you know, whose mom almost passed, and we were able to use the same process on. She called me on a Friday. Her mom was almost gone, and we had her walking on the beach by Sunday, and it was a combination of the Caroline Mine oils and then alternating it with the Bach flowers that she needed. And by being able to be so specific down to exactly how many drops she needed, this device this is a gift from God. So
Kelly, thank you.
and your
That's
training,
really
your
powerful.
training also. If I didn't have your background in your training, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Well, but you're taking that and running with it, and you've gotten some amazing results. I think we want to look more into this with the class that we've been talking about doing with you. So we'll maybe get to dive more into that. Couple of quick questions here from people. Are there some special panels that you put together, Ari Carolyn's book, or did she just back into the info regarding the Genius Meridians info? So I guess it was a combination of both, a special panel that you came up with based on Carolyn Mine's work, and then working with the Meridian info from the Genius, or from biofeedback.
Um, yes, it's a combination. It's absolutely a combination of both. And what I really find too is it's really effective when you run the solutions.
Mm-hmm.
It's whatever like a remedy or the solutions, and then even when you get down to in the Bach flower, like exactly how many drops,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's a supplement, how many pills you need, or if it's a liquid, like the half teaspoon, teaspoon, tablespoon, whatever it is,
You
that
keep
it's even.
testing that with biocompatibility to get the precise
Oh yeah,
dosage? Yeah.
absolutely. And like the Premier Research Labs,
Mm-hmm.
the Max B ND, I've
Mm-hmm.
gotten miraculous results with that B vitamin.
Great. Yep, we definitely experience that as well. And
And
lots of people who work with energetic medicine tell me they get good results for a lot of different reasons with the MaxB. What were you going to say?
but I think the reason that I have gotten the results that I have is I test, like I made a custom panel of what do we need that day. Like on the bottle it says half teaspoon, but I'm able to test on a daily basis. What do we need? Is it a half teaspoon? Like in a lot of cases, it's 2 teaspoons.
Yep, yep,
So
I've heard that. Yeah, yeah, that's great. No, that's fantastic. Still a couple more questions. Are you okay for that?
sure.
She asked if there were any
No.
more questions.
Okay, I might need to
Please.
go. I might need to go. My son just got home from
My question
school.
isn't valid, but those other people's are.
Okay.
All right. So that's Kelly's awesome son, who's ever the inquisitor. I always love hearing him with his excellent skeptic questions. All right, so a couple of comments, and then Kelly, we'll bring back Kelly for another class for sure. And I love getting, and if any of you would like to bring in your perspective, like I'd really love to get more healers on and you guys talking about your experience like Kelly, whether you're a healer or a lay healer or anything. I mean, absolutely, please drop me a line and tell me, hey, I had this great experience and I'd really like to talk about it on the Monday support call. We would very much like to talk to you. And so a couple of comments, don't worry, I'll get to them here. So Mary Lee said, do you do the problem statement at the outset? I think so. When she gets to this point where she has sort of formulated a hypothesis, she gets in there. And then Roger and Teresa said, can you so Carolyn, actually, Kelly lives right near Caroline, Carolyn Mine. Carolyn, M-E-I, not Caroline. Carolyn Mine, and here's her name, and I'm sending it to everyone, and you can just Google that along with a Young Living Oils book. You'll find it. It's a really great resource, and we're hoping maybe I'm going to be teaching a class in Southern California in either March or April. It's going to be like a 3-day conference with me on bioresonance tools and including the Genius as well. It's going to be a great class in San Diego. The exact location is eluding me at this point. But keep that in mind on your calendar and look for my information of when I'm going to be there. But the important thing is that we're going to see maybe if we can get Carolyn Mine to do a class. Kelly, maybe you can put a bug in her ear to begin with when you have dinner with her, that we'd really love for her to talk at this conference and bring in her information, because it's so important, and we're lucky to have her right in our backyard there. So there's that information about Carolyn Mine. And where do I find your blog? Go to quantum-ipad-biofeedback.com, and that's where I'm putting all the little the great little trinkets and nuggets and information and observations and new things that are coming with the Genius are on there. And let me just give you the main screen for a second here. So this is the website, quantum-ipad-biofeedback.com, and all the information about the different zones is on the blog post you'll find at the right of the page. So if you log on to the page in general, you'll see that you can do a download. It's a great way to have people do the download of the Genius. And let's see if we can get that on. Let me answer the rest of your questions. Okay, it's my distributor website, the website for me. For anybody you want to refer, you can send them here. They can all do. I've got some testimonials from Sandra, you're on here, and Christian from Australia, when he's watching, he's in here too. And just because I zoomed in, on the right side of the blog, on the right side of the website, you can find the blog. And here we go, functional zones, powerful results with the Genius Insight, and you're off to the races. You can read all of that information. Patricia said, thanks, Kelly. The silver worked like a dream. It healed the wound. That's because, Kelly, that's so funny. I actually have this remedy here with me right on my desk, and it's the Argentine 23. It must have been some weird thing. Mary Lee sounds really exciting. Carolyn is amazing. I would love that. Do you like Gabriel Mojet's book about emotions and essential oils? Kelly, I feel like you've mentioned that book to me several times. You may not be on anymore. Gabriel Mojet's book about emotions, essential oils. I almost feel like Kelly mentioned this book to me today. So I don't know about it personally, but maybe a synchronicity going on. Aromatherapy, so let me just mention it to everybody. Aromatherapy for healing the spirit, restoring emotional and mental balance with essential oils. So you know what? I'm going to send this to everybody, and this is by, she says it's Gabriel Mojet, and I certainly will look into it. But let me say one thing about that I think would be fun to do, you guys, and then we'll sort of close the class out after this, is if you actually go into, I love this that we can do clear all in the main hold tray. If you actually go into, I'm trying to remember where it is, Essential oils are here. So you could go into essential oils, pick all the essential oils, and then same philosophy here. You could pull these down into the main hold tray. You guys, if you're not a fan of the animation, please write to Ryan and ask him to have the animations turned off as the default. Those of you who love it, you could still turn it back on, but those of you not a fan of the little flashing and you find that you always turn it off, please write to Ryan and tell him that you'd rather have them as a default turned off. I find them to really just weigh me down in terms of time. Okay, so then we go to Progressive Insights, and we can drill these down. This will be the last thing, and then we'll take any final questions. But remember, you could do this. You could do fennel, cinnamon bark, wintergreen, and tangerine, and then do a functional zone consideration from here. So I know I probably won't be able to get in touch with a lot of people during the week because you guys are all going to be very busy with your functional zone considerations and having a lot of fun with these really, really great new tools. So essential oils, guides us towards the tissue regulation zone. And just one more drill down here and we'll see where that gets us. So interesting. So they all point to the tissue regulation zone, and from there that takes us to the organic vegetative stress evaluation. I'm going to have to find out what this is all about. That doesn't sound good. And pre-degeneration 1 stress evaluation. These are 2 items that I did just send information to Ryan asking for more clarification on. So I don't know too much about them, but it's just another way that you can access the information. And I suggest you do it with the emotions panel as well. I don't know if all of a sudden my finger is not sensitized to the screen for some reason. Okay, final thoughts here. I don't know Gabriel and Ariel just updated and lost all my client records. Is that normal? No, it isn't. Shoot a message, Mary Lee, to admin@quantumhealthapps.com and tell them what happened, and they will help. Don't worry, it will be restored. I'm wondering if when you updated, if previously you had done the sync. Did you do the sync information where you sync it so you can be on the offline version? You have to do all 3 of your little syncing exercises that Ryan explained in his email. Definitely get in touch with admin if you're not clear on that process. We're going to be here next week at the same time. You can go to my YouTube channel in a couple of hours to get this recording. I know you're going to want to check this out at least a couple of times. Check out my blog and look for my weekly email. I hope you have an awesome week of balancing, lots and lots of fun and transformation. Thank you so much for being part of this community, everyone. It's Dr. Ariel Policano. Have a great night, a prosperous, abundant, and healthy week. Take care, everybody. Be well. Bye-bye for now.